Has NIL been good for college athletics? Did you guys see the Ross Dellinger story? That the settlement with the NIL litigation, I think we all knew it was going to have unintended consequences, right? I think we all knew the NIL settlement was going to have unintended consequences. I don't think we all knew that students who were on track and field, cross country, swimming, field hockey, and lacrosse would pay such a heavy penalty. Because according to reports, mainly from Ross and the gang over at Yahoo Sports, you have students who were on scholarship, were enrolled in classes, getting email notifications that they were being ripped and that they were no longer on the team, no longer on a sports scholarship. You're no longer on the swimming team. Best of luck to you going forward. And why is this? Because in the NIL house settlement, the NIL lawsuit for back pay, essentially, against the NCAA, in the settlement, you trimmed rosters and you made walk-ons pretty much a thing of the past. And so what happens in college is you have Title IX. So there has to be equity when you are making cuts. So cuts are happening across the board in Olympic sports. And swimming, for instance, has been decimated with scholarship offers, with walk-on offers, with spots on teams being taken away from athletes after they've already enrolled in class. Jake, it feels wrong to me that that's how this is going down.
For sure. And I think that, this whole situation where kids who have pretty much nothing to do with this other than they're an athlete and they go to school, paying a price for this is where I think you're going to have a lot of people taking issue. And as part of the reporting, there's this situation, if we want to call it that, going on where the estimated number is about 20,000 parents of students that this happened to are essentially protesting this settlement. They're going to sue and they're going to object to the settlement, and it is going to go to court. And I think that this is kind of what we talked about when this settlement came down, that there were going to be things like this that are still going to have to get ironed out. You're still going to have to figure out how to make this work for everybody. Because again, this conversation around, hey, there's more available scholarships for the football program, but because of that, we ripped rowing scholarships. Like playing a shell game with the total allotment of scholarships in your athletic program and ripping it from the non-revenue generating sports is not a suitable solution. That doesn't work. You might as well just not play the sport at that point. You might as well just cancel volleyball, cancel rowing in the Olympic sports. But we all know damn well the school does make some money on that, right? The athletic department is bringing in revenue on that, not profitability, but revenue, which ultimately helps you become more profitable. So I just think this idea that this settlement was gonna come down and there was not going to be any ripple effect was unfounded. That's as Spoelstra said all those years ago, it's the untrained eye telling you what they think. You don't look at something like this and say, oh yeah, this is going to be perfect. We're not really going to have issues. That just doesn't make sense. There's too many people involved in this thing that are not employees. They're not in a real defined space. They're being given an opportunity to play collegiate athletics because they're so good academically.
Yeah, I just don't see this as a situation where you can have it both ways. I think you're going to lose some of these athletes, and you're going to have high school kids that don't have opportunities they once had, because you can't make everybody happy. That's just the reality of it. There's too much money that needs to go into basketball and football, which is where you make all of your money. And you're never going to cut stick and ball sports, in my opinion. I don't know how you fix this problem with cross country. I don't know how you fix this problem with swimming.
I mean, it could
field
be
hockey.
It could be as easy as time just needs to pass. I mean, time heals all, right? Like it could just be a thing where you're going to have to take the black eye for probably 5 to 7 years. And
is that what Giselle did?
No, she did not.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Just I was a little confused when you said Blake.
Anyway,
that was
right.
Butthole.
Yeah. If you missed the Giselle story, that's coming up in about an hour. I think it is. Steve Stepanek says, I think this will hurt the SEC and the Big Ten. I don't think it will hurt. I think this will hurt all of the G5s. Because if Ohio State wants to have a rowing team, they're going to have a rowing team.
Right.
Period.
But I think this settlement for an Ohio State level athletic department is going to make them ask just how bad we want a rowing team. Right.
Yeah.
You're going to ask how bad do we want chess club to continue?
Habitual says these colleges are just going to get sued and things will go back to normal. They will never go back to normal.
No, the old system will never return.
Such a bad look for these schools. They're going to get sued so hard. I'm sure they will. But again, you're going to have to prove that you broke a law to win that lawsuit. And I don't think you're going to be able to prove that.
Yeah, I just don't think it's not illegal to remove scholarships. That's the thing. I think people think that this is like you're not paying somebody. That's not what this is, right? Like what it is the school saying, yeah, okay, we have more costs here. We need to reshuffle our scholarships. That's just the unintended consequence.
San Diego State Glenn, you can't call the drop mixer a new toy of Jake's, but he sure is playing it hard and on point today. Hashtag Jakey Herbie Hancock. Do you know who Herbie Hancock is?
No.
I didn't think so.
Macaque.
Okay. Eric in Charlotte. This is how it always was always going to go. When you make sports a business decisions have to be made.
100%, dude.
It sucks. Swimming is such a vital part of college athletics, and it's such a vital part of our Olympic program. And not everybody belongs. And I think that's the hardest part of this. You're not cutting your best swimmer, your best lacrosse player, your best cross-country runner.
Nope.
You're probably cutting incoming freshmen. You're probably cutting your last person on the depth chart. That's the reality of this. Because 9 days out of 10, does anybody even know that swimming practice is happening at USC or UCLA or Michigan? Probably not. You don't ever think about it because it doesn't make you money. Wow, that's brutal for college athletes to get scholarships taken away via email for nothing they did wrong, especially after already enrolling in classes.
Yeah, that's the
Terrible.
problem, dude. Yes,
It's terrible. Stepanek, do you think it will spread out the talent in football? I do not. Football's not going to change. I think it's going to.
Oh, this is a move to support football.
Yeah, this is going to do the opposite. It's going to consolidate talent. It's not going to spread it out in any way, in my opinion. This is going to be devastating to all sports other than football and basketball. Well, I think if your sport has a TV contract, again, the College World Series, I always go to stick and ball sports.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to do anything to damage that TV contract, that revenue. And baseball and basketball and football and softball, and they make you money. When's the last time you watched a college track meet?
I think the only time I've ever watched a college track meet is when they do the Nike has a sanctioned event with the NCAA at Oregon. And I can't remember what the official name of that is, but they have like a whole thing they do, and it's on ESPN.
Yeah, it is going. What it's going to do, you're going to weaken a country today, Caffey.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's going to hurt our Olympic sports.
Yeah,
in my opinion. So, the stadium guy, James, the donors for the big schools will give so schools will have Olympic sports. I wouldn't count on that. I would not count on that. I think that if you are a big school, you already have the budget to maintain. You're not doing this because you can't afford it, in my opinion. I think a lot of this is you're doing it because you can, and it's an opportunity to save more money. I think that's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if James, if you're right. I mean, does somebody dig up, Boone Pickens and shake out more quarters so that you can have a lacrosse team? Because swimming's not going away. That's the other thing I think people got to remember. Swimming's not going away. The depth in swimming is going away.
Yeah, we're talking about not having, we're chopping that down from 10 scholarships to 5. We're reallocating, roster space essentially because the way you got to think about it is athletic department, right? In sports terms, athletic department is your front office. And then you've got all these different departments below that have their own budgets and, allotments of scholarship. And so all we're doing, the best way I can describe it is they're playing a shell game where, hey, we're going to take 5 shells from softball, 2 shells from swimming, 4 shells from lacrosse, and we're going to throw all those in basketball and football. And then that's going to allow us to continue doing what we need to do in those sports because those sports make us the most money. So little Jimmy, who got the Sweetheart Scholarship deal because of class, how good they do academically, he's not getting that deal anymore. That's not happening.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's not happening at all. And it is, I think it's very difficult when you look at the Olympic program is what I will be interested to see. Like, does this help IMG Academy? Does this help the prep school? Does this help I think it absolutely helps swimming because I know swimming culture a little bit. This is going to help your Southwestern swimming schools, your Arizona States, your swimming factories. This is going to help them.
Yeah.
This is not going to help because you don't know like who's the best track program in the country. I don't know either. Who's the best cross-country program in the country? I don't know either. But trust me, they're going to keep running.
Yeah.
They're going to keep the best of the best will always have scholarships.
Right.
This hurts the bottom feeders, the kid on the line. Like in football, the example would be this hurts the kid who's only on the team because, man, he's fast when he's running down on kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
Or it hurts your third string long snapper. Like those specialty positions, because most people on a football team, your long snapper only long snaps. That's it. So if you had 3 long snappers in the pipeline, you're only going to have 2.
Right.
And one's going to dress and the other one's going to get a partial. Like stuff like that. That's who's going to get hurt. Swimming is not going away. San Diego State has won many non-football Mountain West championships. It will definitely hurt San Diego State in the G5s.
Certainly, because the margins are so much smaller.
But I also think that's why a lot of these G5s are not going to participate in profit sharing. They're not going to participate in all of the money that's required. You don't have to participate. It's what I continue to tell you. San Diego State's a great example. Do you think San Diego State has $500 million sitting around to compete at the highest level of college football?
No.
I don't think they do. And if they did, do they want to spend that money on college? I didn't say athletics. I said college football. Who is the P4 that's going to opt out? Or I should say, who are the P4s?
Yeah, because there will be multiple.
I think there will be multiple that will opt out of playing major college football at the highest level. I think that is a possibility. No doubt about it. So, we'll see. I just think that's an interesting discussion. That's all. I think it is very telling. It is very, very telling that you have these kids sitting in their dorm rooms getting emails and their dreams are dying. Because what do? You're already enrolled. You can't transfer. You can't go swim somewhere else.
Yeah, you're done. I mean, unless you just happen to have money or like a way to pay for school, that's your only option. Like, that's it. So if you don't have the money, you're done. You're moving out of the dorm and you're going home. Well, I'm not even kidding.
I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how they make that right. I don't know how you make them whole. I don't know. It's for me, I think it's terrible. Has NIL been good for college athletics?
I mean, I just think it hasn't been ironed out yet. I think that there's still so many unknowns with it. There's still so many questions that we're not even considering yet, and I think that it's all cool that Shador and all the top quarterbacks in the country and top players in college football are making all this money, but I think Yeah, I don't think it's good for college athletics when you're doing what they're doing here. And I don't think it's good for college athletics when you don't have the small town sweetheart story, when a gymnast can't be a gymnast anymore because you cut the scholarship, or like whatever the example would be. I don't think that's good for college athletics. I don't think I don't think that it's right. Notice I'm not saying fair because fair doesn't exist, but I don't think it's right. It's not morally correct
Yeah.
to accommodate the top earners in college football just to have the smaller, non-revenue generating sport athlete pay a price. That's the part that I think people struggle with.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there are always unintended consequences. I've talked about that 1,000 times on the show, and
Yeah.
kids getting emails in their dorm rooms telling them their scholarship has been ripped is an unintentional consequence. Unintended. Mayor McCluskey, I think University of Utah should opt out. Their football program is in shambles. What are you going to do,
Bro,
if Utah beats BYU? The conversation after the show in the comment section about how BYU and Utah is not a good rivalry, I think you guys just don't know the rivalry.
yeah.
I think people saying that it just is good. They're small school. BYU and Utah are not small schools. I think most of America does not understand the hate and vitriol in families across this state. And is there any greater indicator of that when Kalani Sitake is calling for calm? Is there any greater in what you sent me a video of Kyle Whittingham?
Yeah, Whit was the media was pressing Whit about, hey, like, obviously it's Holy War week, weeks, if you will. And what are you going to do with your quarterbacks? What's the plan? Because if you lose to BYU 30-10, that's probably not going to be accepted real well. If you can't move the ball against BYU's defense, probably not going to be accepted real well. And so you're sitting here having to ask Kyle Whittingham about Isaac or Brandon.
Yeah.
And it's not a great conversation. And Witt's just sitting there doing what he does best, giving you, well, it's 50-50. We'll see, like coach speaking the hell out of it. And I'm just sitting here saying, yeah, dude, this is one of the first times where I really do in my heart of heart feel like, yeah, I think Utah is outgunned in this game. They are.
Truly.
And you're going to have to have plays on defense to stay in it. Like you're going to have to, and obviously we'll get way deep on this game later in the week, but if you're Utah in this game, it's not an exaggeration to say you're going to have to score on defense to be in this game. And that's what concerns me as far as this game is concerned. Now, the thing that excites me is the scheming by the Utah defense will be by far the best defense Retzloff has seen this season. Like that's not in question. So I do think there are opportunities to do some things defensively, but I just
Did you see who Jim Rome had on his show yesterday?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jake Retzloff. He's getting run. And while I've sat here and told you he's my goddamn quarterback, which he is, what I'm also telling you is BYU is riding an unbelievable high. An unbelievable high. And I think when we look at BYU and Utah, and I think when we start to get into what's on the line, who's on the line, like all this, I hope people understand that families will be broken over this game.
Yeah.
And the damage that will be done if Utah beats BYU, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Are you kidding me?
So the last time these two matched up, there was some heat to it, but the heat's nowhere near what it is for this game. And the reason that it's so ratcheted up for this game is obviously BYU's had huge success this year, right? I mean, unprecedented success in the Big 12 so far. But I also think the junk that BYU fan is talking is ratcheting up the fire. And I think it's justified. I think that BYU fan currently is riding high and feeling good. And I think Utah and Kyle Whittingham, Morgan Scally are on a mission to win this game any way they can. And I'm telling you, the physicality in this game from that Utah defense will be on display. I'm telling you, they will be looking to make an impact physically, and there will be roughing the passer penalties. I'm telling you, that's going to happen.
At the fact that the Fano brothers alone are at Utah, both of them.
Yes.
The fact that you have Isaac Wilson, who is his brother, obviously, Zach, played at BYU, was the number 2 pick in the NFL draft. I mean, the heat is there.
Yes.
And Geoff going on about how they burned wreaths on doors. I would just be careful if I were
BYU Christmas wreaths.
I would just be this. I'm asking you to keep calm and just, it's a football game. It's not life and death. There will be another one next week and actually the same game next year. It's not life and death. I would just encourage you to.
I think let's be civil is what we're trying to say. There's nothing wrong with talking junk. There's
Don't
nothing
light
wrong.
people's houses on fire.
Yeah, like we don't need to be filing insurance claims over the Holy War, bro. Like,
Don't pour beer on Max Hall's mom, who I think has Secret Service protection now.
Yeah, like we don't need to be taking it to that level. But it's not an exaggeration to say that it is true. If you don't live in Utah, you wouldn't know this. It's true that families don't speak during Holy War week, man. Like it is that intense in this state.
I agree.
I'm curious what shenanigans
are
going to be pulled by Utah fan in this game, because I do think that will be one of the storylines. Like the World Series last night, really quick. The World Series last night. You guys know the Mookie Betts moment, right? With the Yankee
what
fan.
were those fans doing?
But that's what I'm talking about. Why are you grabbing Mookie Betts? Why are you taking the ball out of his glove?
Did you guys see that cat and his buddy went to a bar afterwards and were given a hero's welcome? Because if you didn't see it, Mookie Betts reaches his arm into the stands, and these 2 fans are grabbing his glove. One of the fans actually grabbed his arm, and they pried the ball out of the glove.
Yeah.
The fan said, if he's coming into my section, we're going after it. Okay.
Okay, dude.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, that's cool. But my point is, do we get crazy pictures out of this game of Utah fan and BYU fan? Do we get, those, what I'm talking about with college football fan, man?
Yeah,
like,
I agree.